Albert Fish, also known as the Gray Man, the Boogeyman, and the Moon Maniac, was an American serial killer, child rapist, and cannibal active in the early 20th century. He is one of the most infamous criminals in history due to the extreme brutality of his crimes and his disturbing psychological state. Albert Fish preyed primarily on children. He claimed to have victimized more than 100 children, though only a few cases have been definitively linked to him. Fish's most infamous crime was the abduction and murder of 10-year-old Grace Budd. He posed as a man named Frank Howard, claiming he was looking to hire Grace's brother for work. Fish lured Grace away by convincing her parents to let him take her to a party. Instead, he brought her to an abandoned house where he killed her, dismembered her body, and consumed parts of her flesh. In 1934, Fish sent a horrifying letter to Grace's family, confessing to the murder and cannibalism. This letter led to his eventual capture. Fish's next victim was Billy Gaffney. 4-year-old Billy disappeared while playing with a friend. Fish later confessed to abducting and killing him, describing in gruesome detail how he tortured and ate parts of the child. Another notable victim was Francis McDonnell. Fish attacked and murdered 8-year-old Francis after luring him into the woods. This was one of the first known crimes linked to him. Fish was born into a family with a history of mental illness. He spent much of his early life in orphanages, where he was exposed to abuse. This environment shaped his already unstable psyche and contributed to his lifelong sadomasochistic tendencies. He inflicted extreme pain on others and himself, engaging in self-harm such as inserting needles into his body and whipping himself. Fish's crimes were motivated by sadistic sexual fantasies. He was known to have fetishes for pain, urine, and feces. He believed he was following divine orders to harm and kill children. During his trial, psychiatrists described him as a psychiatric phenomenon, though the court declared him sane and fit for trial. Fish's downfall came after he sent the letter to Grace Budd's family. Investigators traced the stationery to a boarding house where Fish had stayed, leading to his arrest in December 1934. Fish's trial began in March 1935. He confessed to multiple murders and acts of cannibalism, but claimed insanity, citing his delusions. The jury found him guilty, rejecting his insanity plea. On January 16, 1936, Albert Fish was executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing Prison in Ossining, New York. Dennis Nilsen, often referred to as the Muswell Hill murderer or kindly killer, active between 1978 and 1983. He is one of the UK's most infamous serial killers due to his shocking methods, lack of remorse, and how his crimes were discovered. Nilsen had a troubled childhood marked by a neglectful father and a strained relationship with his mother. He also struggled with his sexuality and feelings of isolation, which deeply influenced his later crimes. Dennis Nilsen murdered at least 12 men and boys, though the actual number may be higher. His victims were typically young, homeless men or drifters whom he lured to his home with offers of food, shelter, or companionship. Nilsen would often meet his victims in pubs or on the streets of London. After inviting them home, he would strangle or drown them, often during moments of intimacy or after drinking heavily. He would then keep the bodies, sometimes for months, engaging in necrophilic acts and performing rituals, such as bathing or dressing the corpses. In his first flat, Melrose Avenue, Cricklewood, he dismembered the bodies and burned them in his garden. In his second flat, Cranley Gardens, Muswell Hill, he disposed of body parts by flushing them down the toilet or leaving them in trash bags. This method led to his capture, as plumbers found human remains in the building's drains. Many of Nilsen's victims were never identified due to the dismemberment and decomposition of their bodies. Nilsen often expressed regret for some killings, claiming he felt compelled by loneliness rather than malice. Nilsen's crimes were uncovered in February 1983, when neighbors at Cranley Gardens complained of clogged drains. A plumber investigating the issue discovered flesh and bones, leading to police involvement. When police arrived at Nilsen's flat, they immediately smelled decay. Nilsen calmly confessed to the murders, claiming he had killed 15 or 16 people. He cooperated fully, providing detailed accounts of his crimes. Nilsen was charged with 6 counts of murder and 2 of attempted murder, though he confessed to many more killings. He pleaded diminished responsibility, citing mental health issues, but was found guilty of murder. Nilsen showed little remorse during his trial, often discussing his crimes in a detached, matter-of-fact tone. Nilsen's actions were fueled by deep-seated loneliness and a need for control. He found comfort in the presence of the dead, creating what he referred to as companionship. Psychologists described him as having narcissistic personality traits and a lack of empathy, though he was not deemed legally insane. Dennis Nilsen died on May 12, 2018, at the age of 72, from complications following surgery for an aortic aneurysm. The Dennis Nilsen case remains one of the most chilling in British criminal history. His calculated methods, the macabre rituals with the bodies, and his calm demeanor make his story a terrifying study of a killer driven by loneliness and compulsion. His crimes were dramatized in the 2020 TV series Deaths, starring David Tennant, which reignited public interest in his case. Before I reveal the last serial killer, you can greatly help me by liking this video, and if you enjoyed the content so far, consider subscribing. Leonarda Cianciulli, infamously known as the soap maker of Correggio, active in Italy during the 1940s, Cianciulli's acts of murder, dismemberment, and transformation of human remains into soap and baked goods not only horrified but also mystified investigators and the public. Her life story is one of misfortune, superstition, and psychological instability, culminating in a criminal spree that left a dark legacy in Italian history. Born in 1893 into a poor and dysfunctional family, Leonarda Cianciulli's early years were fraught with trauma. Her mother, reportedly abusive, had a tumultuous relationship with her father. This unstable home life deeply affected Leonarda, who was said to exhibit signs of psychological distress from a young age. She struggled with health issues and was considered a difficult child. These hardships only deepened her sense of isolation and unhappiness. In 1917, Leonarda married Raffaele Cianciulli against her parents' wishes, straining her relationship with her family even further. The couple faced financial instability throughout their marriage and had several children, although only 4 survived infancy. Leonarda became intensely protective of her children, particularly her son Giuseppe, and her superstitious beliefs deepened as she sought to shield her family from the tragedies that seemed to plague her life. In 1939, the Cianciulli family moved to the town of Correggio in northern Italy. It was here that Leonarda committed her infamous crimes, murdering 3 women between 1939 and 1940. Her methods were horrifying not only for the murders themselves, but also for the macabre way she disposed of her victims' remains. Leonarda preyed on vulnerable women, particularly those who sought her help or guidance. She gained their trust by presenting herself as a kind and supportive figure. Once her victims were in her home, she would serve them tea or food laced with drugs or poison to incapacitate them. Then, using an axe or knife, she brutally murdered them. The dismemberment and disposal of her victims' bodies were what made Leonarda's crimes especially shocking. She meticulously cut the bodies into pieces, but her actions did not stop there. She boiled the flesh down using a mixture of water, sodium hydroxide, chemical lye, and other ingredients to render it into soap. The result was a foul-smelling, greasy substance that she shaped into bars of soap, which she would use herself or sell to unsuspecting neighbors. As if this weren't horrifying enough, Leonarda also baked cakes and biscuits from the victims' remains, mixing blood and other body parts into the dough. According to her own testimony, she served these gruesome treats to visitors and even to her son Giuseppe, believing that the act would protect him. Leonarda was deeply superstitious, claiming that her murders were acts of ritual sacrifice intended to safeguard her children, particularly Giuseppe, who was preparing to fight in World War II. She believed the deaths were necessary offerings to prevent misfortune from befalling her family. Leonarda's 3 confirmed victims were Virginia Cacioppo, a retired soprano who disappeared in 1939, Faustina Setti, an unmarried woman who came to Leonarda for help finding a husband. She vanished in 1940. Francesca Soavi, another local woman who was lured into Leonarda's home under the pretense of assistance. Despite her cunning methods, Leonarda's gruesome spree came to an end due to her final victim's connections. Francesca Soavi's family became suspicious after her disappearance, and authorities began investigating Leonarda. When police searched her home, they uncovered shocking evidence: human remains, including bones, dismembered body parts, and the soap and cakes made from her victims. Leonarda was arrested in 1940, and during her trial, she openly confessed to her crimes. She described the murders in chilling detail, including how she killed and dismembered her victims and rendered their remains into soap and baked goods. Her justification was rooted in her superstitions, claiming she was performing these acts to protect her son and secure a better future for her family. The trial became a media sensation, with Leonarda's bizarre actions and calm demeanor making headlines. She was ultimately convicted of 3 murders and sentenced to 30 years in prison. She served her time without expressing significant remorse, reportedly remaining composed and unrepentant throughout her incarceration. Leonarda died on October 15, 1970, at the age of 76 from natural causes.